Welcome to another episode of the N64 Japanese Eye. As always, this is the show where we take a look at Japanese exclusive N64 titles and try to answer the simple question: can you play and enjoy it without knowing any Japanese whatsoever? The Bomberman series of games on N64 were a varied mix of genres and styles, and one could argue that the series never really found its feet on Nintendo's 64-bit console. After three earlier titles which were released in the West, Hudson decided to release perhaps the most unusual Bomberman game on the console. It would also be the very last official Japanese exclusive game on Nintendo 64. Bomberman 64 Arcade Edition, rather than being one fully fledged game, is in fact four different smaller games in one. But don't let that put you off. This isn't a collection of mini-games but a well thought out set of games which are all fun in their own right. There are four modes to play through, and so I'll go through them in the order that you'll find them on the game's main menu screen. The first being Classic Mode. If you love the earlier generation of Bomberman games, then this will be right up your street. It's the classic look and feel of Bomberman, and there are a ton of levels to play through. Depending on how well you do in each level, you'll have different doors to exit the level through, which will alter your path through the game in the Buster Move style map. The traditional power-ups are all here and the enemies are not a pushover, and you have to learn to strategically place your bombs to tie in with their movement patterns. The second mode is Panic Bomber mode, and it plays exactly like the other games in the Panic Bomber series. You must move blocks in order to link 3 or more coloured bombs to start a chain reaction. It's all about combos and multipliers as you attempt to rack up the highest score possible. There are also special bombs which you can use to blast away tricky areas, which really keeps the game moving and zipping along. If you're a fan of classic games like Tetris or Columns, then I've no doubt that you'll really get a kick out of this particular mode. The third mode in the game is an unusual one. It's almost a point and click type of puzzle affair. The object of the game is to clear the blocks on screen by moving 2 or more coloured blocks together to clear them. You'll need to think logically and also strategically to link as many coloured blocks together, as the columns move together as you disappear them. You have a set number of moves, and you can also customise how large or small the grid is and what type of blocks they are. This is probably the weakest of the game modes. Whilst it is fun, it's something that you'll likely only want to play a few times. The final game mode is by far the strongest of the four on the game. Bomberman Park is very similar to the Bomberman Legend games, and I personally really enjoy these, even if some fans of this series don't seem to like it that much. You enter the park and you're free to roam around talking to other guests and visiting small huts to play minigames. Each hut is different, and there is a high score for the minigame which you must attempt to beat, and if you do beat the score, you'll collect a card. And as you progress through the game, you'll need to acquire more and more cards to unlock larger areas as they are protected by gatekeepers. What I love most about this mode is just how quick and fun and easy to pick up and play it was. The mini-games are all familiar and some unusual ones are thrown in, and whilst they are challenging, they're also very fair. A lot of them are throwbacks to classic retro games, and whilst playing I couldn't wait to go to the next house to see what mini-game it would contain. But don't get me wrong, these aren't mini-games along the lines of WarioWare, but I'd say they're more in line with the ones found in Mario Party. I was actually quite surprised at how quickly I managed to pick up this entire package of games, and that really is the charm of the game. It feels familiar but fresh at the same time, and with so many variations of styles and gameplay, it really is a game which I think everyone would be able to find something they'd enjoy from it. Some of the modes do also have multiplayer options, so this isn't just a game for solo players. Being able to battle with your friends in the classic style Bomberman matches is awesome, especially when you can tweak the power-ups and items. Now the all-important question is, can you play this game without knowing Japanese, and for the most part I'd say absolutely. Navigating the menus is straightforward, and with a little trial and error you'll be able to understand what each option does. The amount of Japanese text does get ramped up in the Bomberman Park mode, however it's still quite easy to navigate and to understand what you need to do in these minigames. You'll also get unlimited attempts to try and beat the high score, so even with some of the more random minigames, you can pretty quickly figure out what you need to do. Sadly though, the game isn't the easiest to find, and because of that it's also not the cheapest either. I don't know the exact figures for how many copies were made, but being such a late title, it wouldn't have been a huge number. But if you get the chance to pick it up, then get it. It's a unique game which has a lot of different elements to it, and the Bomberman Park mode will give you hours of fun gameplay. The multiplayer mode is easily the best on the console between the different Bomberman games, as this is definitely one to play with your friends if you do want a Bomberman experience. But as always, I want to know what you think of this unusual Japanese title. Let me know your thoughts and your favourite Bomberman game in the comment section down below, and until next time.